Hi, I'm Laura Fisher and I'm the archivist here at the Petersen Automotive Museum. Today's video is going to be a little different. Today I'm going to show you vehicles and artifacts that evoke a sense of eeriness or mystery. Now, one of the first vehicles I'm going to show you, I want to preface by saying I'm not sharing it to make light of its significant impact on history, but rather to show how human beings are always intrigued by objects that evoke that mystery, and we can learn history through these mysterious objects and kind of hone in on why they're so interesting and a little bit eerie. Right here is actually a 1963 Rolls-Royce Silver Cloud 3. This was originally owned by movie director John Frankenheimer. It's absolutely gorgeous. I love the blue and the silver. And it is a luxury vehicle in every way. This was also the vehicle that drove Bobby Kennedy to the Ambassador Hotel on June 4th, 1968. He went there to meet with supporters and eventually celebrate his victory in California's presidential primary election. After his celebration, he was going to leave through the kitchen and actually go into this vehicle to be driven away. Unfortunately, he didn't make it. On his way through the kitchen, he was shot 3 times and eventually died at a local Los Angeles hospital. So this vehicle is always known as being associated with Bobby Kennedy's assassination. The next vehicle I'm going to show you is down in our vault, and then we're going to go visit my office and workshop. So let's go. I'm down here in our vault now where we store the rest of our vehicle collection when it's not on display on the gallery floors. I'm standing in front of a 1978 Mercedes-Benz 600 State Landaulet. This particular vehicle was owned by Saddam Hussein, president of Iraq. After the invasion of Iraq and the fall of Saddam Hussein, it was driven out of Iraq, and it came to us as a donation because of its historical significance. Personally, I find it one of the most mysterious and eerie cars in our collection because of the historical significance of the man who owned it. Down here on the trunk, I'm going to show you a few details that other people might not notice. Back here on the trunk, you'll see kind of indentations and little scratches. Reportedly, this is from Saddam Hussein's bodyguards resting their rifles on the vehicle when it was being garaged at certain times after he was done using it. Now, another thing I'm going to do is open up the trunk. It is very heavy. Back here we have a few other strange artifacts, and the reason this is interesting to me, and again a little eerie, is that they're everyday artifacts. These are truly artifacts from the time of its use. We have here kind of a dirty water bottle, but if you can see, it has Arabic script on it, and it is full. We also have what seems to be a rug. I won't comment on what the rug was used for. I will just say that it's in the back there because we're not sure exactly. Personally, I find things like this very interesting because they're kind of depictions of the day-to-day use of a vehicle and kind of humanize the whole story around it. These are everyday objects that you and I might come in contact with in our own daily lives, but here they are in the back of this historically significant trunk of this historically significant car owned by Saddam Hussein. Now that we're finished here in the vault, we're going to go to my office and workshop to look at a few other things. Well, we're down here in my office and workshop. This is where our preservationists and I repair and process a lot of our archival material. I have a few things from our collection that over the past few years have really creeped me out. So let's get started. Of course, I have to put on my gloves. So also one very important thing in our office is our pet crow, Mortimer. He has a bit of an appetite for human fingers. I give him 1 or 2 a day, so eat slowly though, Mortimer. Our exhibitions director is running out of fingers. He'll be with us throughout the video. I'm making myself laugh, I'm sorry. Well, we should address the clay busts in the room. As you can see, I have Mr. Petersen and Margie Petersen with me. These have been in our archive ever since I started. They were clay busts originally meant to be cast into bronze, but they never got fired. So this is actually unfired clay. And they actually present a really big conservation issue. My job is, of course, to protect everything in the archive, regardless of its material, from degradation, but some materials are just really bad in terms of degrading over time with humidity and temperature, no matter what you do with them. As you can see on Mr. Petersen, we have a lot of cracking, and that's because, you know, unfired clay is susceptible to, of course, gravity, and it dries out in certain areas, slower in certain areas perhaps, and it's also very susceptible to temperature. So if it's too hot, that will affect the water content of the clay. In addition, if it gets too cold, specifically near freezing, ice crystals tend to form in the water content of the clay. And then when they melt again, they can crack. You can also see here, Mr. Petersen unfortunately has something that unfired clay is very susceptible to, and that is mold. There's just no way around it. Mold spores love to attach to unfired clay, and so we're doing our best to protect him from the elements, but unfortunately he has degraded a little over time. They do sit on a shelf in the archive, and I have to stare at them every time I walk in. As much as I love the Petersens, they're a little unsettling. Margie seems to be holding up a little better than Mr. Petersen over here. Anyway, what, Mortimer? Again? One of my favorite Halloween themed items that we have in the archive is actually something from the Buzza Company in 1926. This is a beautiful offset printed pamphlet with metallic ink around the edges, and it says Halloween Greetings. The Buzza Company was known for creating advertising materials, invitations, greeting cards, other things like that. And you can see that they were also well known for their very detailed, high quality printing. I absolutely love the way this has been preserved. The purple is just beautiful and rich still, and the details are still very clear on this. It's interesting to look at how old Halloween items were depicted throughout the 20s and 30s before it became the cultural idea that it is today. Something that's not really Halloween themed, but my goodness, is it creepy, is this page from Scientific American. It's from March 1904, and it depicts women automobilists and their fashion, specifically because automobiles of the early 1900s, if you really think of an automobile from 1904, it doesn't really have a roof or other covering or a windshield protecting the driver or other passengers. And so women were trying to come up with unique, fashionable ways to protect their face and eyes from the elements. As you can see, we have some really strange attempts. We have these scary beekeeper looking coverings, the one called the false face, which is supposed to mimic a woman's face, but it was actually a kind of mask. That's probably the creepiest of them all. And we have other kinds of linen or leather masks of different sorts. I think it's really interesting because we like to say it looks creepy to us today, but back then it was a very serious topic and people thought it was probably innovative. It is worth noting that the article goes on to mention how ugly all of these options are and how really quite weird they are. Now for a quick look into our Petersen Publishing archive. I have some original negatives. These are from 1955. They're going to be sleeve number 101, sleeve number 116. Yes, here it is. These were taken in March of 1955. And what these depict is actually James Dean racing in the 1955 Palm Springs road race in his Porsche Speedster number 23. He entered the race as Joseph Dean in order to remain anonymous, although it probably didn't work out very well. And it's important to note that this was just 6 months before his fatal car crash in another Porsche vehicle. I do have one more thing to show you. Okay, he's hungry today. I'm pretty sure he wants his other hand. I'm sorry. Over here, I have something that we have to keep in the archive, but the truth is, it really creeps me out. A lot of people might know that before our 2015 renovation, we had an exhibition called Streetscape that depicted historical scenes, and we had mannequins to recreate those scenes. And some of the mannequins were actually made in the likeness of the people that work at the museum. This is none other than Leslie Kendall, our chief historian. And he looks a little unsettled. He looks a little mad. He's probably mad at me. But actually he was trying to play the part of the impatient vehicle owner. And you can see he's dressed in the period of the vehicle that he was supposed to be standing next to. And we had other mannequins that were also dressed in different period clothing as well. Leslie, Mortimer, and I would like to thank you for joining us on our special Halloween episode of Unboxing the Archives. We hope you enjoyed. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.